I moved into my new condo just a few weeks ago, and at first, everything felt perfect. The building was clean, the neighbors were quiet, and the atmosphere was calm. Exactly what I wanted. Well, almost exactly. There was one exception. Let's call her Karen. Karen had crowned herself the reigning monarch of the HOA, and she treated that title like it came with absolute authority. From the very beginning, she made it her mission to monitor my every move. My welcome mat? Apparently the wrong shade of beige. A small decorative wreath on my door? According to her formal violation notice, it was a fire hazard. I even received a written warning for water in my balcony plants at what she deemed an unauthorized hour. It was beyond excessive. It was absurd. Eventually, I decided I'd had enough of the constant nitpicking. I work from home as a software developer, and a large portion of my expertise revolves around security systems. So I figured if I couldn't stop her from complaining, I could at least protect my space. I replaced the cheap standard lock that came with the condo with a high-end smart lock system. It had a keypad, a fingerprint scanner, and was designed to be completely pick-resistant. I also upgraded the deadbolt to a heavy-duty commercial-grade version. My front door was no longer just secure. It was practically a bank vault. Extra security never hurts, right? And maybe it would discourage a certain overly curious HOA president from snooping around. A few days later, I was immersed in coding, headphones on, fully focused. Then I heard something faint outside my door. At first, I ignored it, but the noise grew clearer. Metal scraping, a knob rattling, followed by irritated grunts. I slipped off my headphones and listened carefully. Then came a sharp, angry voice I instantly recognized. What is wrong with this stupid door? My master key should work on every unit. It was Karen. Master key? I froze. The HOA had a master key to every apartment? That wasn't just unsettling. It was a serious invasion of privacy and a massive security vulnerability. If that key were ever lost or stolen, anyone could walk straight into our homes. I quietly stepped to the door and looked through the peephole. There she was, red-faced and furious, jamming a key into my brand-new lock and twisting it aggressively. She was actively trying to force her way into my condo. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. After several failed attempts, she huffed dramatically and pulled out her phone. Her fingers tapped furiously across the screen. Moments later, I heard her speaking. Yes, I need to report a lockout and a possible uncooperative resident at 123 Maple Street, apartment 4B. The resident has illegally changed their lock, and I can't gain entry for a routine inspection. Routine inspection? There had been no notice, no schedule, nothing. She was inventing a justification on the spot to break into my home. What she didn't realize was the irony unfolding. Before becoming a full-time developer, I had worked as a 911 dispatcher while putting myself through college. Even now, I still volunteer for occasional weekend shifts because I enjoyed helping the community. And by pure coincidence, I happened to be on dispatch duty that afternoon. My work phone, which I always keep nearby, started vibrating with an incoming alert. I glanced at the screen. It was her call. I took a steady breath, switched into professional mode, and answered. 911, what is your emergency? On the other end, Karen's voice was sharp and frantic. Yes, I'm the HOA president at 123 Maple Street. The resident in 4B has illegally changed his lock, and I can't enter for an inspection. He's violating the bylaws. It took everything in me not to laugh. Ma'am, I replied calmly, can you confirm your name and explain why you need access to the apartment? My name is Karen, and I'm the president. She snapped. I have the right to conduct surprise inspections. I typed a few notes into the system, mostly to buy time. And what is the name of the resident in 4B? She hesitated. I don't know. He's new. That's irrelevant. Just send an officer to force the door open. This was the moment. Ma'am, I said, my tone firm but controlled. Are you aware that without a court order or explicit permission from the resident, forcing entry into a private residence is illegal? HOA bylaws do not override state or federal privacy laws. Is there a fire, a flood, or any immediate danger inside the apartment? Silence. Then a weak response. Well, no, but the rules. The rules. I interrupted gently. Do not authorize a break into someone's home, especially when the resident is currently inside. I paused deliberately. Then I walked to my door, unlocked it from the inside, and pulled it open. Karen stood there frozen, phone still pressed to her ear. Her face shifted from bright red to pale white in seconds. She stared at me, then at the phone, then back at me again. Holding my work phone to my ear, I smiled politely. Is there anything else I can assist you with today, Karen? She looked like she'd just seen a ghost. Oh, and one more thing, I added, gesturing to lock. This security system is completely legal. The bylaws prohibit altering the exterior appearance of the door. They say nothing about upgrading the internal locking mechanism. I checked the fine print. She didn't respond. She slowly lowered her phone, turned on her heel, and hurried down the hallway without another word. The very next day, a notice appeared in the lobby announcing an emergency HOA meeting regarding resident privacy and entry policies. During that meeting, several neighbors shared their own uncomfortable experiences with Karen and her so-called master key. It turned out I wasn't her only target. The board had no choice but to act. They issued a formal apology and immediately revised the entry policy. All master keys were to be secured in a locked box at the management office, accessible only during documented emergencies like fires or floods, and only in the presence of both a board member and building staff. Karen was stripped of her presidency and her master key. Since then, she hasn't said a word to me. When we pass in the hallway, she keeps her eyes down and moves quickly in the opposite direction. I suppose she learned something important. Don't underestimate the quiet guy in 4B. You never know who might be on the other end of the line. Sometimes a little technical expertise and perfect timing can solve even the most persistent HOA problem. Thanks for listening to my story, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.